What is up, you guys? It is Ivorburst and welcome back to another episode of Boom Beach. And in this video, I'm gonna give you guys some tips in order to defeat Lieutenant Hammerman Strikes Back. That is the event that's happening right now today. If you missed out on my attempt on Lieutenant Hammerman and my successful win, check out the link in the video description down below. There's going to be the video down there for you guys to go ahead and check it out. And then return to this video to actually see what kind of tips that I got for you guys. They're actually very straightforward. And if you've been playing Boom Beach for a while and you're an experienced player, this is probably not going to be even help you guys out. But for those of you guys who are new to this and you're really curious to know what I have to say, please keep on watching as we're going to be going through a couple of tips that I feel going to be helping you guys out. So very straightforward tip number one. Headquarters all the way into the back. He's going to be deploying all of his units into the front and he's just, going hand. He's just letting the units walk just like that. So you want to be placing your headquarters into the back as far as possible, because if your headquarters is dead, you're going to be losing. Tip number two is about victory points. The amount of victory points decide how strong Lieutenant Hammerman is going to be. If you got 1,000 victory points, he's going to be way more powerful than whenever you got 500 victory points. And that brings me to tip number three. If you are a highly offensive player, and by that I mean you don't have any defensive statues, you might be facing some trouble on Lieutenant Hammerman. If you are having 1,000 victory points and you are only like level 45, it is very unlikely that you are going to be taking down Lieutenant Hammerman, and then you just have to accept the fact that you're probably not going to be doing anything against him, and it's just a matter of upgrading your defenses, I suppose. Tip number four is Lieutenant Hammerman doesn't use any gunboat abilities. So that means he's dropping no barrages, no artilleries, no shock bombs, no smokes, not even flares. So what you can do is deploy all of these storages or residences or collectors in the front, because there's no downside to it, at least for this event. I mean, you just gotta make sure that you come up with a working base for you. You're actually free to use my base if you really want to. I am a headquarters level 20, so you might want to be taking that into consideration. But honestly, if you have this base and you got like these statues that I got and so on and so forth, you're gonna be able to take down Lieutenant Hammerman with this base. So I'm not saying it's a guaranteed working base, but for Lieutenant Hammerman, all you really need is a working base. You don't need a perfect base. All you need is a defendable working base. Tip number five that I want to give you guys is, if you're not entirely sure if your base is strong enough, use the first attack of Hammerman to kind of see what he's going to be attacking with, what kind of troops, in which order the troops are going to be attacking, and what they're kind of aiming for. And that's what I did. What you notice in this defense that we're going to show you guys right now is that the first wave is always going to be warriors. So I deployed a couple of flamethrowers and machine guns in the front here, a couple of defensive buildings, and also my shock launchers. That is also the next tip. Put your shock launchers in the center of the base. They're going to be stopping all of the buildings, but make sure to place them behind a lot of defenses. And then after that, we got the heavies kind of popping in here, and we do have a boom cannon that is still active as well, so that's going to be doing a ton of damage onto these heavies. And then another boom cannon behind there as well, and we still got like these flamethrowers over there. And then after that comes the wave of the powerhouses, and the wave of the powerhouses to me are riflemen, grenadiers, and Zookas. Those are dealing the most amount of damages, with the exception of the warrior, of course. But those are doing the most amount of damages, but are also the most fragile. And you basically want a couple of rocket launchers behind a lot of defenses to kind of take them out, because rocket launchers have a ton of range. And as you guys can see, because my rocket launcher all the way into the back and not into the front, all of the units are just dropping like flies, as if it's nothing. And at the back, what I did was I deployed my mortars there, because in this particular Lieutenant Hammerman, all of the fragile units were in the back. So what I wanted in the end is range. And that is how I took out Lieutenant Hammerman. Of course, very essential as well, make sure you got your mine set up in places in which you think the units are going to be going there, usually into the center. And another tip that I might be able to give you guys is what you can do is build like an arrow. And what I mean by an arrow is basically like how should I put this? Like, for example, have one building into the front in which people are, in which buildings or units are going to be attacking that building. So, for example, if the sawmill was the only thing that was in the front and all of these other buildings would be in the back, this is the building that we're gonna be attacking. So my tip to you is kind of see where the units are gonna be going and how they're gonna be walking based on how your buildings are located, because the units are always going to be attacking the first building that they see, with the exception of the Grenadiers and the exception of the Scorcher. So that's basically all there is to it. Those are my tips for Lieutenant Hammerman. Very straightforward stuff, but hopefully this will help you guys out. Please let me know down in the comments below if you actually managed to take down Lieutenant Hammerman and what you're thinking about this event. I personally really think this event is awesome. It is really cool to see how he's attacking your base and see him go through the defenses. And honestly, like, Lieutenant Hammerman is the most interesting replay to watch out of all of the replays that we got on Boom Beach, but that's just my opinion. So that being said, that's going to be doing it for this episode. I hope it helped you guys out. As always, make sure that if you guys like this video, to boom, give it a thumbs up. And that being said, this has been Reversal for Boom Beach. I'm gonna be signing off, and I'll see you guys in the next one.